And welcome back to part 3 of week 14. Hello players, let's get started. So, Sirius, you are waiting exactly where you said the meeting was being held between all three of them, which was the landing ramp or the cargo drop.
The loading ramp that you walk, the way you walk out of the ship.
The way you walk out.
Wherever you leave the ship.
We are on the lower deck 1, over by section 11. See that lift that goes down? Or 10. So are you guys in 9? Okay, that's where it is. Alright, I'm going to move to the combat page so our audience can see this. And that's where everybody's headed. You can go ahead and move your tokens up there. It is not necessary, but you can if you want. So, all of you are in this main room. This little room by the lift. Why don't we start the role-playing? Sirius, I imagine you and Grod are probably there first because you were closer. Right?
Are we at 9? Is that what you were saying?
Wherever you want to be. That's the lift to
or
get out. Or
over on the other side. I wasn't sure.
You could be anywhere around there.
After stern. Okay.
If you want some privacy, maybe 10, the server room, because it's just
no. This is fine. This is perfect.
Yeah.
We need space to do our album cover pose, man. This is where we're at right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we'll say Sirius and Grod's there first. Sirius, what are you doing while you're waiting? Grod, what are you doing? And then I'll introduce the other two.
Probably not much. Just waiting. We still got that.
Not looking at cards. Yeah, so you look disgruntled. Are your hands on your hip? Is it like physically? Can we see it, or are you just like hands slacked at the side?
Yeah,
it's your
I
face?
mean, like I said before, he's like got his head kind of cocked, and maybe one hand on his hip. Maybe he's leaning against a wall or something.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, okay. Something's obviously up with Grod. And Sirius, are you just standing there patiently, or are you pacing, or are you sitting?
I'm holding a very long, very beautifully silver and gold. It looks like very fancy metal. I'm holding a big lightsaber in my hand. I'm kind of holding it, sort of displaying it, tapping it a little bit, like I'm pondering on it.
Excellent. Lucius is the first one down. Lucius, why don't you describe your entry into the area where they want to meet? What do you look like? What are you wearing? What are you doing?
Lucius is just wearing just some decent looking clothing. He's still wearing his hat, of course, but it's, you know, cleaned up, looks nice. Wearing his trench coat, of course.
Right,
and
so you got your trench coat over, but are you wearing nice clothes, or are you just wearing?
Yeah, like the jacket's a lot nicer than what he normally wears, because his usual jackets, you know, got some burns, oil, you know, chemical stains on it, whatever, and you know, his hat's usually like got some dust or something, but he's got it all cleaned up. So, but this is one of his nicer jackets, and then the clothes underneath are fairly nice. They're not fancy, but they're not. He doesn't look like a, you know, like he's just been sleeping in his clothes for 2 weeks.
Lucius, if you do any speaking, if you do any speaking during this meeting, I'm going to give you a boost die because you look dapper. Kier, what are you wearing? What do you? Oh, sorry, Lucius. I just asked. Go ahead and describe your entrance. Like, what do you say to Grod and Sirius, stuff like that?
As it comes down, he sees them, and he sees how pissed off Grod looks, and he sees Sirius looking all serious, and he goes, "Well, the cockpit's locked down."
Good job, up there. You did well.
Thank you, I guess. Okay, yeah. And he's kind of like a little confused at first, and then he realizes what he's talking about. He's like, "Oh, okay, all right."
Yeah, like, did they see me? Oh, the flying. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And then this is probably when Kier walks in. Kier, why don't you describe yourself, what you look like, what you're doing, and what do you say to the guys?
Yeah. Normally, when Kier shows up in for most things, he's wearing his red laminate armor. This time, it's actually toned down. The color's like way different. It's more like this charcoal gray colored. Still wearing laminate armor and everything. Still got his helmet on and everything, but it's all charcoal grayed and everything. And he's carrying a box underneath one arm, and he looks around and he's like, oh, I guess I'm the last one here. But as he's approaching, he's like, it's like most of the conference rooms in Madame's has at least two entrances. I said, if you're expecting things to go south, then he moves this box around from underneath his right arm, pops it open. He's like, who's actually going to be doing the conversation?
Probably myself and Sirius.
I'm like, he pulls out the small canister. I'm like, this right here, and he's like, this is a smoke grenade. I'm like, this should cloud the entire room. I said, you guys, if things go south, hit the floor. I'm like, and then I'm like, and I said, anybody else feel like they're under armored? I got a couple of stun grenades. Otherwise, I'll just
Lucius just goes, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, so he takes the remaining 3 grenades and actually attaches them like on a. It's not quite a bandolier, but it's like, yeah, but it's down one side of his chest, so it's like there's like 3 of these grenades, and it's like,
let's say it's kind of like those shoulder holsters that detectives wear, but it's magnetic, so you're just like tink tink tink, and you stick the grenades on there.
And he's like, I will. I'll take up a position near one of the doors. You just choose which exit you want. And if things go south, he taps the side of his helmet and says, I'll be able to see everything in the room anyway. So you guys can make it. You can make the exit out the opposite door. You can take your pick of which way you want to go. He says, I'll know where everybody's at in the room. So
why don't you leave 2 of those grenades behind? I think 1 stun grenade will be enough. We don't want to risk losing our ordnance. The smoke grenade sounds all right as an escape plan, but let's hold it as a last resort. Otherwise, good. And I'll walk over to you, and I still have this lightsaber in my hand, and I'll say, do you think you can hide this in your armor in case they search anyone?
Oh, in the armor? It's like, yeah. It's like, we're talking roughly what? It's about a foot long handle.
It's extended hilt, so it's long for a lightsaber. But yeah.
Oh, not a problem. And you see him. He takes there's a spot in his back, and he's like, you see him move. He pulls out this vibro knife from back there, and then he's like, pulls the pack around and makes a couple of adjustments, and you can see that he's repositioned a couple of spaces in the back, so the holster for his vibro knife is on one side, and he creates this basically little pocket that just the thing just slides up into. He's like, okay, should be good. Puts it back on. It's like,
you know, this is interesting too, because Sirius, if he wanted to, could pull the lightsaber out. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Kier doesn't have to have ready access to it.
And I'm going to say,
would definitely make them suspicious.
I'm going to give him a code word. I'm going to say, if I say the word,
I've got one. If you're willing to, for suggestion, Cooper.
The one, Cooper. Okay, good.
If you reminisce about Cooper, Kier knows shit's going down.
Yeah, I'll say if I mention Cooper, unlatch it so that for easy access, or have it ready to deliver to me.
So as he's mentioning Cooper, I look Sirius straight in the eyes, and I'm like, let's get something straight. There was a liability issue on the deck. we were liable to lose like 3 or 4 of us off the deck. I made a call and I cut him loose. That
No,
wasn't anybody
just-
else's decision.
Yeah, Kier, do you... I mean, I know that you're a soldier and you're just like, I did it, you know what I mean? But is there a pang of maybe remorse? Because I know that the hardest thing about being a soldier is making calls that you consciously don't want to make, but you have to make because they're strategically sound. And you can always tell when a soldier
Okay,
makes
well,
that choice,
first of
'cause he's
all,
like,
it
I
was
ain't no
it was
hero.
like I was like when he saw Grod shoot the grappling hooker, I was like, you know, Kira's like, that wouldn't have been the best way to get him back, but you know, I mean,
Right.
and then he's sitting there dangling out there. I was like, you know,
Oh, I know what happened. What I want to know is, as
But
you're
that was the
owning
thing,
up to
he's-
this, is there a pang of guilt?
I'm like, losing anybody is a problem. Kier's
Right.
more of like, okay, yeah, but how I'm like, I mean, I'm sorry the old man's gone. I just don't know what else to really do. I mean,
I think maybe because of that, like, serious, since you're the perceptive negotiator, I'm not even gonna make you roll. You do see that Kier felt like he had no other alternative, and that he was really just trying to save lives versus, you know, you get the look. The look of him going,
Okay,
look,
so-
it was me, dude. It was me.
Yeah, bro. Like, cause I wasn't even going there, and you kind of like you took it there like right out of the gate like that, and so like as soon as you went crunk, I like locked eyes on you and I was mean mugging you, but as you sort of you know, kept talking a little bit too long, you know, and you're maybe because I was mean mugging you in this uncomfortable situation, I started to smile a little bit, and I look over at Grod with a smile on my face, and I nod at Grod, and I say, I understand. I think we'll be all right.
Grod will speak up and he'll say he did what he had to do.
I'll at that I'll like do the Imperial Officer Tarkin thing, and I'll say the issue is closed.
There you go. Yeah, so the ramp lowers, you guys have no problem now. You guys are good to go, right? All right, so I'm gonna let's role play the scene. Like, it's kind of like one of those action movies where you just hear like the bass guitar, like doom 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 doom, and the freaking lift is lowering, right? And then the camera pans over to Bengar Ryan, who's leaning up on the brand new limo with a smashed out window, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he looks up and he sees you guys, and he just tosses it in the air, and it like slow-mo spirals off, and he whips his jacket into place and moves over to the door and opens it. And then as he's opening it, your lift hits the ground and the air from the Coruscant rushes in the ship. So Lucius's coat is like as he's stepping off the lift. And then you guys are just strolling over. Maybe Sirius's robes are going at it. Grod's still got his head turned as you guys are moving. Kier's adjusting his harness, making sure it's all good. And then you guys all get into the car together. And as the doors shut, it's almost as if Bengar was looking elsewhere. He's just holding the door open. He waits till the last person's inside. He shuts the door and just casually jerks at his suit again and walks around and hops inside. And then the limo's like, and it goes off. You guys arrive outside the Madame's. You've reserved a conference room there. And as the limo comes up, the exit is exactly the same. Bengar walks out, steps a couple paces, sees something, and goes, as this car goes, and almost hits him. And then in slow motion, he's just like, and then he turns around and makes his way around the car and opens the door and just stands there like he just saved your guys' lives by allowing you to exit out this side. And he's just looking up at everybody, nodding their heads. When somebody walks too close, he's like, and motions for them to go around. And who's the first one out?
Kier would be the first one out. His security is always his number one thing, so...
Do they see your foot, or do they see a barrel of a gun come out first?
It's actually his helmet.
Oh,
because
I
he's
love
wearing
it.
his
So, yeah.
helmet. He sticks out his helmet, and you just see the helmet pan back left and right, and then his leg, he steps out. He's got a hand on the door.
Yeah, so
His
the bass guitar
so,
continues. It's like boo, 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 boo. He brings his head out. The gray, matte gray kind of collects the light but doesn't reflect it. He looks down both sides, and then his foot comes out. He grabs the side of the limo, and he pulls up and then steps to the side to where he's still of use. Bengar nods to him. Kier nods to Bengar. Who's the next one out?
Sirius is going last.
Okay, fair
Called it.
enough. Lucius and Grod, who's going out next?
I guess that would be Lucius. He'd stroll out in that kind of like I'd say like old Michael Madsen from like Reservoir Dogs kind of stroll, and they're like walking down the street, and he's strolling out of there, and he's got a cigarette in his mouth, and he flicks it off as he's walking, just cool, not really noticing anything.
Awesome.
As he's heading towards them dams.
As you're leaving the car, I imagine it looking like those like hoity-toity, like super famous, arrogant nobles in the 1700s colonial America, where the door on the carriage opens and they're just like, and all their robes, they put on their hat and they just move. I seriously just imagine you like a ball of trench coat where you just manifest, and then you're walking down with your cigarette down the walkway, and you know, you tip your hat at somebody as you walk by, and they're like, oh, he's dapper. Next one up is Grod.
Yeah, Grod's just stepping out. You'd notice he's got his new armor on. It's a hard plastic laminate armor, but you notice like it kind of reflects back at you, and when Grod turns and he steps out, and almost when he turns to walk the other way, like he almost disappears at times. You really got to look at him hard to see if he's even there.
You step out and you move out, and as soon as people see you, and Grod, you start to stand at your tall shape, the light from one of the nearby fixtures has a J.J. Abrams flare effect, and it's just like, ah! And then people are like, whoa! And then you're not where you were, and they realize that you're a few paces down as you walk. A car drives by, and it's just like, gleam. And, yeah, you step out. Sirius, what do you look like?
So Sirius is still wearing his diplomat's robes, his very super fancy mini-folded purple robes, Palpatine style. I have my lightsaber tucked into the Shoto hilt, tucked into my sleeve.
Didn't you give that one to Kier?
I have
is
two.
That a different one?
I have
Ah,
two.
that's right.
He has the long one. He has the official strong one.
Right.
I have the little tiny one tucked in here because it's easier for
like
me to hide.
Like
It's the
a
small
Tonto
one.
saber. Right.
Yeah, it's the short one. I use it mostly, but that's the real deal one. And anyways, but I come out, you know, my robes looking fly as fuck, and I don't even look at anybody, man, because my senses are telling me what's around. And I come out like Kingpin, baby. I just stand up, legit, boom, pop my shit. My shit just falls like the water and just falls nicely and beautifully because it's very, very expensive fabrics. And I look like a senator or something in Coruscant coming down to the lower levels in my opulence. But people probably recognize me around here by now. Straight in.
Yeah, you guys step out, right, and there's a line. Now, that is how you guys exit, but the hustle and bustle of Coruscant is so intense that nobody notices. But still, the bass music is like...
We're still badass, though. Yeah, no,
as you're like marching...
You can't jack a man a badass.
No, hell no. In fact, I think that Kier is walking right alongside Sirius. You guys open the doors, and it's like... Psh, and, you know, Lucius is the first one in. And he nods to the bartender that he knows, and the bartender's the only one that's like that notices how you guys are entering this building, and he notices that some shit's up. I say notices a lot, apparently, and he reaches over and unclasps the strap to his blaster rifle and just starts staring at everyone else in the bar, paranoid, like, whoa, what's gonna happen? And as Grod follows everyone in, everybody's going inside. Grod, you can stop and elbow Sirius because you see the three women waiting outside the elevators. And the madam's standing there with a couple of her Valkyries fully armed.
Yeah, I'll do just that. I'll elbow him, and I'll nod over to where the madame is.
And I'll motioning for the men to gather up and stop with us. I'm gonna say, do you want to take the lead or should I, my friend?
It's like, you're good at all the talky talk.
I think at this point, Sirius would start to realize there's two ways you could play this. Now, you could take the advantages of all your rolls and stuff, right, Sirius, and use your negotiating ability. But you also know that by not having Grod operate this thing, you look like his keeper, not his friend. You know what I mean? You're here to fight his battles.
You know what I'll do? I'll say this. Why don't you take the lead at first? Tell me your code word when you want me to step in, and I will use my, and I'll smile, give you that serious smile. I'll use my presence to support your maneuvers.
All right. Password
I don't want you to lose face.
Password is Grick.
I have your
All
back,
right.
my friend.
So yeah, you guys approach the three women who smile at Grod.
I'm gonna look at the other two and say, "Look tough."
Kier and
Try harder.
Lucius are probably the toughest looking ones in the group. So, the ladies smile at Grod. I mean, no offense, Sirius. I know you're ripped, but under those robes, you can't tell. Under those
No, hell
senators'
no, dude.
robes.
I probably look old and fat. Like,
Yeah. I mean, Kier looks like he's pretty much a mobile tank, and Lucius looks like the cunning, like freaking a guy whose name is Knives. And, you know, you don't want to mess with the henchman Knives, you know what I mean? Like, seriously. So like, he just looks like...
movies right there.
Right. He just looks like somebody you don't want to mess with. You've got Knuckles and Knives. So, you guys approach them, and they bow very politely to all of you, especially since now they think that Grod has shown up with a lawyer or a senator. And they look at Grod, and they're like, "Evening, Grod. I'm so glad you could be here."
I'll bow back, but it's like a pronounced bow with like my
across
arms,
your
like I'm not
ankles.
Yep.
So Madam stifles a giggle. She goes, like, "That's Grod."
I'll say, "Thank you, ladies, for meeting us. You know, after you," and I'll point to the conference room.
She smiles and then tells the others, "Remember, he just wants to see our asses." And as they're walking into the elevator, they're like really, bow, bow. Grod, I need you to roll some sort of will check, a discipline check. It's going to be against 2 purple, but there's just little things that they're doing. I'm going to give you a boost because you know this fucking game. You've seen this shit before. You know what I mean? But what they're doing is they're trying to display their sultriness so that they have a leg up in negotiations.
So what are we going with?
It's discipline or any kind of will check that you would like to roll, but I'd prefer discipline, 2 purple, 1 boost.
You need to upgrade that with the dark side, Mr. GM.
Oh, no.
That's what's up.
No,
I
Grod
want
is
him
the
to
guy...
fail this motherfucker. I'm not
No,
gonna
here's the reason why. Here's the reason. I thought about it, but here's the reason why I'm not doing that. Remember when Valeria met him, she tried to use her wily ways, and he's like, "You're not fucking funny. Just tell me what I want." Like, I think Grod, that's why I gave Grod a boost. He's seen this shit before, you know what I mean? This is the same exact role he made with Valeria.
Well, yeah,
Discipline.
plus Valeria was finer. I feel that.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
there we go.
She used her Twi'lek ways. These aren't even Twi'leks.
No,
There you
I
go.
ain't getting over at Grod.
Do you want to keep that advantage? Oh my god, I just did a terrible GM thing. There you go,
you didn't
audience.
even roll
You
your
see the
boost,
die.
brother.
Oh, no, I had it.
Yeah, roll your boost, dude. You might get more advantage. Just reset everything,
Oh,
single blue die, and go.
I never reset it. I never clicked out of
Clicked
it.
Oh,
out,
clicked
yeah.
off. Yeah. You know what, though? This
I'll
is
just
still
roll
one of the
that.
more stable sheets that Roll20 has, so I'm not complaining. Hey, you've got 2 advantages. You could describe something that Grod does that'll give him an advantage in the negotiations, or you can hold on to 2 boosts, or pass a boost specifically to yourself for 2. Narrating something, by the way, to give you an example, would be something that your character says or does.
I got something.
Oh, go.
I asked that little kid to keep an eye on him before a couple episodes ago when they first met me. He got back to me before we had our meeting and said one of the girls has been arguing with the other 2.
Oh,
he's not sure what. Yeah,
that's
he's
good.
not sure who. Like it's a little kid, so he couldn't pick which one. But he said there's been a lot of arguments at the place they've been staying.
Ooh,
a lot of yelling.
I like that. Okay, so So they step onto the elevator that goes up, right? And before they turn their backs to face you guys as you guys are entering, Grod is stepping forward and looks over to his side and he sees a kid. The bass music is still going doo-doo, boop, doop, doop, doop. He nods at the kid and the kid gives him a thumbs up and then turns around like nodding that he did a good job, And everybody is on the elevator and scene cuts over to the elevator going up, and it's this really awkward just this soft elevator music. Nobody's saying anything, and then the doors open to the conference room. The 2 Valkyries step out and motion in, and you guys are allowed in. So the Valkyries are there. You can dismiss them, but they are there to keep the peace.
Right. So were the Valkyries the last ones on the elevator then? So that they were the first ones off?
They were the first ones on, because this elevator goes up and opens from the other side.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So as Kier's stepping out, this room's got
it's a hallway.
It's got a table and everything.
Well, there's a lot of conference rooms. It's a hallway right in front of the elevators, and then in front of that is the conference room that's open. So there's like 10 conference rooms in this little corridor. It's kind of like a motel hallway.
Right. So yeah, Kier would be the first one off, and he wouldn't care whether he was pushing past ladies or not. His position. So the Valkyries get off, and he's like right off behind them, and he's standing there at the table. And there's the other item that he brought off was this. It looks like a briefcase, but it's got a scanner in it. So basically, he sets the suitcase, this briefcase, on the table, and as people are walking in, it's feeding him information on they're carrying weapons, what kind of.
Oh, that's why you want to. That's why you want to be the first one.
Yeah.
Got it.
So the other 2 Valkyries,
yeah.
he already knows pretty much what the other 2 Valkyries are equipped with.
Yeah.
It's just pretty much standard. But he steps in there and he's standing there and he's got his hand on top of this briefcase and he's waiting as everybody starts filing in.
Okay, 10 individuals pass through your scanners. The only ones carrying weapons are the Valkyries and your men. The girls are unarmed.
And was there any... The only other thing that I'd be checking for would be like an electronic signature.
Flags. Hang on. There's no electronic signatures except for a device that they have that looks like a credit box, which is typical.
Okay.
You do notice they have knives, vibro knives, just basic protection stuff. But 10 individuals passed your scanners. Sirius, Lucius, you. Of course, you counted yourself.
Right.
So, as the 10th person. Grod, the 2 Valkyries.
Right.
The 3 girls.
Right.
And a 10th biosign went through the scanner.
And at what point did the 10th bioscan come through?
It came with the 3 girls.
Came with the 3 girls. And would the girls have been the first ones into the room after me, or would have been the last
I think
ones?
they let you and the Valkyries go in, and then they'd be the first 3. I would imagine Sirius is still playing that whole "I'm the last one in" kind of mentality, like. You guys are basically trapping him in a box.
Right. As the and as Sirius is the last one, and I make eye contact with him. I give him. I'm like, originally I give him a thumbs up, and then I'm like, it's like at halfway, and I'm like, and I lean in real close, and I'm like, we are +1.
Well, you have an in-helmet comlink, right? Can you communicate silently with your in-helmet comlink, like to my comlink?
All of the helmets could turn off audio, so
I have a little collar comlink, so it's like an earpiece. Like,
so as you're getting off the elevator, you basically very quietly, I'm like, we have an unseen
+1. Yeah, we're +1. Okay,
we're +1.
Okay,
and it's not the Valkyries.
Legit. Okay,
So we can all hear that?
yeah, I think it would be party wide.
Open up comms to everybody.
Yeah, the bass is going and he's looking up. He thumbs up. The girls is like do 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 do, and you guys are entering still, and you all get the message, and you're like giving Kier a side, like you know, a visual eye connection, and then everybody sits down. And Grod, you're at one side of the table, and the girls are. Grod, you're at one side of the table, and the girls are sitting down next to you.
As everybody sits, I want to walk over to if there's any type of bar where you can serve drinks, and I want to, and with my back to the group, I want to use my sense to find the unseated individual.
And I don't want them sitting right next to me. I want to sit.
No, they're sitting in arm's length.
Table.
No, the table's too big.
Like across the
table,
like, or
yeah, they're across the table. They're not on the other end. Though.
Okay,
so they're sitting. Yeah, it's so that they could slide you the credit thing and and not be like, yeah, just give us the money.
Yeah.
And have to like shuffleboard the damn thing over to you. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine the Valkyries are at the end of the table, and then we got each side.
The Valkyries are by the door by Kier, and then maybe Lucius is at the head of the table, but definitely Grod and the girls are sitting across from them. Sirius, so once you want to do that sense roll, why don't you do that? Whatever you got to do.
There you go.
Bam. First shot.
Damn.
Think I found
You see a fourth person sitting next to the three.
Okay.
You're sensing it in your mind. You can see him sitting in the chair. And you get a sense that it's a him.
Okay. I'm just going to keep my sense on them in case they betray violent intent through the Force. That way I can head him off, and then we don't get snuck attacked by invisible people. But after that, now once I've locked onto him, I'm gonna go and sit by Grod and just sort of keep my sense on them.
Yeah,
and
for light side, you can do a lot without losing your sense unless you get hit.
Cool.
So Grod, it's nice to see you again. They start.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine.
Excellent.
Take it we're here to discuss a payment for a bounty.
Yes, and don't think of it as a bounty. We're just debt collectors. We don't bounty hunt. We're here to make sure that the bounty on you is lifted. We close cases.
Very well. So how should this payment be arranged?
First off, I have to say, and they look over to the lot of you, who is your pilot?
She's asking Grod who the pilot is?
Who's your pilot?
Say, our buddy here, Lucius.
Fantastic
Best pilot
flying.
in all the sector.
Listen, we radioed Luda. I hope you don't mind. But, she wants you to give her a call.
And he'll grab it.
There's
take a look at it. And okay.
Very dangerous race. And it's sanctioned. But the fatality rate is 80%. But the pot is 10 million credits. And she's a gambling lady. She would gamble on you, knowing what we reported to her. May I, Grod? And she points down in her lap. Like she wants to get
Very
something.
well.
She reaches in
it.
and pulls out a data pad and then turns around and shows that she recorded the entire thing as you guys weaved in and out of traffic from one of the tourism things and saw you guys flying up to the spaceport, dueling it off with the shuttle and watched the shuttle spiral out of control. She watched your ship, a Gazanti class, weave in and out of all of those craft. She's like, that is insane.
Yeah, that's kind of piloting I like. I like a challenge. You say 10 million credits?
10 million credits. And the blonde girl kind of
You
looks
do a
over
lot
at
with 10
Lucius.
million credits.
She reaches over and grabs his knee and goes, I love a dapper man that can fly. There's something dignified about you, and they seem to be taken aback by you.
Ooh.
Hold up,
Well-
hold up. What's the Hutt want out of this bargain? She probably wants half the purse, doesn't she?
She scoffs. She goes, no. That would be a conflict of interest for a Hutt. To accept half the winnings from a winning pilot when she gambled that he would win. Don't you think that would look suspicious? Win or not, entry or not, I just want to give this man a good time. And then the brunette, who's trying to do business and looking at Grod, elbows her and is like, come on! Anyway, we have a job to do.
Sirius looks at Lucius like, who the fuck are these girls?
And he's just still pondering 10 million credits, and he's like, oh, man. Not only that, I'd be a famous pilot throughout the galaxy. And he just kind of puts it back in his trench coat, and he's like, oh, yeah. And he's just now focusing back on the business at hand.
Excellent. Grod. You owe us some money, Grod. Are you here to pay?
That's what we're here for.
Excellent. She slides the device in front of you. We can skip dinner. She looks over at the blonde, annoyed. But there appears to be more than that, Grod. It appears your intel on the fighting may be factual.
Okay. He'll say, skip dinner. We had the Madame prepare a special meal just for you guys.
I understand, but if you pay, I have some specific instructions from Luba.
Specific instructions. They have to deal with a payment.
No, I have to do something after the payment. I'm a very busy woman. Besides,
Oh.
I don't think you all really want to have dinner with us anyways. I think you want to get this on with. Judging by the fact that your ship was being loaded with cargo.
I see you guys have been keeping a tight eye on us, huh?
Grod,
Between videos.
I just have to report if you run.
It's understandable, understandable. Well, I think we talked about a price. What was it, 20 creds? 20,000 creds?
They look at you like you're retarded. Like they are giving you the dumb, like they know you're playing a game. It was 150,000 credits.
Well, wait, time out of character. Was it 100? I thought it was like 50,000.
It's
It was
50,000.
If it was
It's
50.
50,000.
that bill
All right.
50 got me for a second. I'm like,
Yeah,
wait,
I was
did that
like,
bitch say 150? Then I'm like, nah, that bitch didn't say
No,
no,
no.
150.
Yeah.
She said 150,000.
Oh, I meant like before she said 50. Now she's
Oh,
saying 150.
no.
Yeah, now
Yep.
she's saying that. Yeah. I'll just, Grad will start laughing like,
Do you
playing
still
some-
want to
you're
play
full of
games,
jokes,
Grod?
aren't you?
And then the two of them kind of laugh. But it's like one of those, like, British noble meetings, right? Where all the British nobles are together and they really hate each other. And they're like, I noticed your lawn is a little yellow. And the other one's like, yes, if only I could get water down to my house if there wasn't so many unnecessary construction being done on the street. But then they're both like, bitch, drinking their tea. So yeah, you guys give a hearty laugh as you realize, you know, she took your 20,000 as a joke and then joked back.
All right. And Grod will look at the device like, how do I know this is getting to, what was her name? The Hutt?
Luba, actually, you've
Luba.
made payments to Grobo before you went on the run. This is Grobo's account.
So I can tell from the device that this is going straight to
Grobo's account number. Like you never wrote it down. You have it up here so that you can make payments wherever convenient. And this is his account. So it does make sense. It looks more and more like a legitimate, hey, you know, by the way, we're here working for this lady who's just trying to control his assets before she liquidates him.
Okay. I'll look at the device and I'll say everything appears to be in order here. It's been a pleasure doing business with you ladies, and he'll stick the cred stick in and authorize the 50,000.
Once the authorization comes through, a green light shows up, letting you know you can remove it. They grab it, look at it, make sure that you did actually pay the 50,000, and she stands up and goes, "Luba should be contacting you soon. I'm to leave now. I suggest you read that email." And then she turns around and walks away with the other three. They dismiss themselves. So chair 1 goes, chair 2 goes, chair 3 goes, you know, the three of them standing up. And then that 4th chair just kind of slowly rolls back. And then the unknown entity follows them.
I pretend not to notice. That's fine.
Yeah, you guys are left to your own vices.
That makes sense. They would have a secret security. I like that. That's legit. I'll look at Grod as I reach for a biscuit or whatever. Do you want to check that message?
Has it come through yet, or?
Yes.
No, before he checks the message, he'll turn to his companions.
Slide you an alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, he'll take a shot and he'll say, guys, I've been with a bounty on me most of my adult life. I don't know what it's like not to be hunted by a Hutt. It's like, I can't thank you enough for helping me tie up this loose end. I owe you all a debt of gratitude. Thank you. You know, you guys really came through for me.
The Valkyries who have known Grod for years have known his hiding from the Hutts. You know, they've been there since the beginning. This is the place you turn to. You know? This was Grod's place. And seeing the whole thing come to a closure, and seeing Grod turn and thank his friends, the Valkyries are trying not to, but they are crying.
And Kier's looking over at him like, all right, pull yourself together. It's like, and he
like,
actually takes he escorts the two of them out of the room, and he closes the door behind him. So he's actually in the hallway with the other two, because he's still not certain where he fits in with this whole thing. So he's like, they're taking care of business in there. And he turns to one of them. And he's like, I need to speak to Madame. Is she available?
Yes, she's downstairs if you guys need her.
Appreciate it. And he's like, were her instructions for you to stay until they leave?
Only until the girls leave. Everyone else is free here. And then they leave. They step in the elevator and they leave.
So he waits until the elevators come back up, and he heads down himself.
Perfect. Let's take the scene back to Sirius, Lucius, and Grod. Lucius has this dreamy look in his eyes.
Oh, he's thinking. He's like, all right, this is in his head. He's not saying this out loud. It's like, all right, well, we can't take the ship, main ship, that new one they found, Phoenix Rising. Thank you, the Phoenix Rising, that newer ship. Huh. That might just be able to do that.
Yeah, and you guys kind of, as Sirius and Grod are like eating, and Grod took the shot and stuff, and before we find out what's going on, if they look over, maybe they do see you kind of sideways in your chair like you are now, and like in thought.
And Sirius doesn't want to ruin the Grod's big moment, but he knows We're not done being hutted, man. The First Order's hunting us, and they're worse than Hutts. So I'm like, enjoy it while you can, brother.
Grod, if you check your data pad, it's from Luba the Hutt, and it says, read this and away from people for a moment.
Okay, and he'd look at his data pad, and it's probably like in the subject line, like Grod,
Right.
read this by yourself.
And it looks like it's
And,
a video.
Yeah, and so I'll read this, and he'll say, "It looks like I got to look at this by myself for a second. Do you mind?" And
I'll just turn my chair and keep eating. Give you
Actually,
privacy. Just stay
the
right there.
conference room, these conference meetings can go hours if they're political, and tensions can rise. There's actually a balcony behind the bar.
all right, so I'll go out to the balcony, and push the
Yeah.
message on.
Of course, the
There you
hut
go.
comes on, and she's got orange patterns to it, and she's like, "Booba shumba loba," but then the translation comes on, and it's like, and you notice that she even has a female voice with the translator that is being sent to you. Grod, if you are receiving this message, it means that my girls did the job, and you have paid up. We are square, and any ill will that you've had with Grobo's organization will not matter because I'm liquidating all of his assets. It was in my search for his assets that I found something that you should have, and since we are not enemies, I would like to consider us allies. I cannot tell you much, but what I do need to tell you is that you need to come and see me as soon as you can. Your sister and brother need your help. And that's where we're going to end part 3 of this week's episode. So tune in for part 4 in just a little bit. Bye-bye.